Morning, folks. Today's soap sample is from Stirling. This one here is called Baker Street. I have some information down below about it, but it is an awesome scent. And I've got the, excuse me, matching aftershave sample. Here it is pretty small, but it really does smell great. If you're not familiar with a sample from Stirling, in the way of the aftershave, take that little plastic off. That's what the restrictor looks like there on the inside. And I can already smell it. It is a really nice scent. Like I said, I'll have some information down below. And I thought it'd just be fitting. Sometimes, I don't always show what the beard oil is that I'm using for the day, but I also got the matching scent on the way of the beard oil. Thought that'd be kind of nice just to sync them all up right there together. And I got it whipped up here in a bowl that I got a few years back from Vanulet. It's a little on the wet side, not quite drippy, but it's still pretty wet. This here is a Ever Ready brush from, get this right, Heritage Collection. If you can see that, the light will catch it just right. But anyway, boy, this is a it is a really nice scent. This is going to be a great shave. The shaver of the day is, got this by the way of classic shaving. This one here is called the Enoch, and it's a little different. And I'll try to remember not to lose track of what I'm going to be doing at the end. I'll try to take this apart. It's a little bit tricky in my opinion, but it is one of those shavers where it's not, it is what you see is what you get. In other words, there's not an interchangeable plate or anything like that. It is straight up just like that. So I guess you might say aggressiveness might change with the blade that you might be using. I got the Kai blade in there, Kai Pink, and I think this is like the fourth shave with this one. I've used it a few times. I'm going to go ahead and wet the face. I already put a hot towel to the face this morning, and also got the Phoenix Artisan Accoutrement Ice Cube. In other words, this one here is mentholated. If you're looking for the some of these cubes, there's two of them that I'm aware of, and I have not checked since the pumpkins rolled out. Atomic Pumpkin. I don't think he made a pre-shaved cube with a pumpkin scent, but there's two of them that I'm aware of that he's got in a way of a cube. This one here is mentholated, and the other one I think is lightly mentholated if I remember right, and it's got charcoal in it. It's the black one, in other words. Matter of fact, my very first one was a black one, but definitely my nose definitely picking up the smell of the lather as well as the menthol in this. So my nose is working pretty good so far, but it is very intermittent, so see how it is at the end of the shave. But I've got a little bit of experience with shaving with the Enoch razor, and I've read some reviews, and some people have had a good time with it and some not so much. And I'm not so sure if it has more to do with the blade as opposed to the shaver. It is one of those things. Maybe I probably should put a link down below of a website or two where they will sell you some samples of these blades so you can figure out which one works best for you without having to buy the whole pack. 15 or 20, 30 blades, whatever the case might be, and only to find out that that is not going to work for you in this shaver. I think if I remember right, this one is in stock. I think it's selling right around I think it's the $100 mark, $99 or something like that. But with this being fourth shave with this blade, I've had pretty good luck with Kai blades lasting a while. And also depending on the shaver, whether it's a mild shaver or whether it is an aggressive shaver, sometimes might dictate how many shaves you get out of a blade. Some blades will still last longer even on an aggressive shaver, but if it's a mild shaver, you might be able to get more shaves out of it before you feel like you need to change the blade. I wouldn't say this is aggressive. I say fourth use on this particular blade, and it's still pretty smooth. Uh, I mean, I can start to tell it's been used a time or two. It's got some use on it, but it's still a pretty smooth shave. And wouldn't say it's aggressive, but there's definitely a blade feel to it. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's aggressive by any means. But it also probably depends on what you're used to shaving with. This scent is really nice. I know what I was going to mention. This scent, Baker Street, came by the way of a company called the Strop Shoppe. If I remember right, it was based in Norman, Oklahoma. And they're no longer in business, and this is where this scent came from. Which is pretty nice. I remember when I first started, I remember seeing the soap, Strop Shoppe. I just, at that point in time, had no idea what their soap was like. And I'm wanting to say back then, and I could be wrong, because this was a few years ago, like maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I wanted to say the going price of this particular soap might have been around the $18 mark back then. It might have been 16. I can't remember for sure. But for me, that was when I first started. That was not a price point where I was willing to buy very much soap, of anybody's soap, at that price. I was very particular. In other words, it took me a while to accumulate the soap that I've got right now. And this one here, as it goes for Strop Shoppe, was not high on my list, unfortunately, because then now they're out of business and I didn't ever get any of their soap. That's the way it works sometimes. But for me, it was a missed opportunity, but those are going to happen. Companies come and go, soap scents come and go. Pretty good so far. I wouldn't say this as an aggressive shaver. It might be, in my opinion, for my experience, it's kind of it's middle of the road, but at the bottom of the middle of the road. It's not mild, but it's just a touch above mild, in my opinion. Like I said, I've gotten pretty good, I got smooth shaves with it, but others have not. So I don't know, where they were at on their experience with a single edge, or maybe the blade choice was not the best for them. Because there's a few blades that you can pick out to use with this. In other words, the Pro line, Schick Pro line. If you want to use one of the Dorco, and then you got assortment of feathers and Kai blades that'll work. One of these days, I guess maybe I'll try a Pro Guard in one of my shavers. I've never tried one from Feather. Just a little bit of feedback on the against the grain. If there was anything besides price, and it depends on where you're at on your budget, as it goes for the longevity of this particular shaver, you take care of it, it's going to last quite a while. But if somebody was going to call this a con, or even a deal breaker, it would be how you get this blade apart. I mean, take the shaver apart to get the blade out, or put it in. Either way, the blade loading is the issue. It's a little touchy. When you're doing this, how can you say about waist level, not trying to do it on camera way up here, in other words, yeah, it's a lot easier doing it waist level. In other words, right here at the sink, I have a towel right in front of me. I work with it right there, and it's not too terribly tough to do. But doing it up above my waist, in other words, trying to practice a little bit, it's a little tough to do. But they do, I think, if I remember right, have a video showing how to load the blade. But the blade loading, at least this particular one I have, is this way. You have to remember, these are, I pre-ordered these and this is the first version of this particular shaver. So as time goes on, that might improve them. It could be just mine in particular, my shaver that's like this, and maybe it's not quite as I guess you might say glitchy, if you will, with other shavers because that have been made since then. All right, I'm going to go ahead and take it apart right now. I should point out also, and it may be kind of hard to see on this camera, at each, yeah, it's going to be tough to show. Anyhow, it's going to say, it's going to give the name of the shaver. One side is going to say Enoch, and the other one's going to say version 1. And it just twists apart. This is the easy part right here. It just pulls apart like this. And what I may do is do the rest to put this towel down here so it doesn't end up in the sink. I'll try to see if, don't know if I can, it pulls, yeah, it just slides apart. So you see there's a safety bar pointing up. It slides back this direction, which is okay. This is not the part that's tough, but getting the rest of it to slide apart, come apart, there's a bit of a catch right there for me. And there's the blade right there. As you can see, it is simple loading as it goes for that part. Kind of see what the slide mechanism looks like. I'll flip this around. And you might be able to see there it is. That's how it slides together. Once you get past that part, in my opinion, get used to loading the blade like this, it's all downhill after that because it just comes right together. And for me, a great shave. I mean, I'm already down to this point right here, and this shave is fantastic. Nice, smooth, no stinging, none from the alum block. Got the witch hazel here that's mentholated but unscented. I guess also that kind of tells you how the blade is. The blade's not, I mean, like I say, I can feel the difference between the first shave and this shave. There are some signs of wear, but not to the point where it's pulling and tugging. and the alum block is telling me it's time to change that blade. It's not there yet. Face feels really good. This soap, it not only the scent, but it does wonders for my face. In other words, the post shave is pretty nice. Got the sample of the Baker Street, I think 5 milliliters. Can't remember 5 milliliters of, can't remember what that translates into ounces. If it's a half an ounce or what, I can't remember. It's just enough to give you an idea whether or not you like to use this soap or not, and the matching aftershave. That's the I think a cheaper route to go. Stirling is pretty good about having samples of their stuff. Ginger's Garden, if I remember right. I've got some samples, but I haven't looked at her website in a while. I've got nice size samples. In other words, Ginger's Garden will have samples that'll look a lot like what Stirling's look like. In other words, it'll be a big oval like this. And I think these are about an ounce, if I remember right. Plenty enough to get several shaves. I don't have to figure out whether you like the soap or not, and or the scent. Grumatorium is another one I know that you can go to, and what they've done, if somebody doesn't make samples already, they will take a full-size jar, and they'll go through and make their own samples of that and then sell them that way. From time to time, Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements will have samples for sale. I mean, other than maybe the unscented, and I think right now is CAD and Cavendish, I think was the other one. But as it goes for samples of anything else, I have not seen anything of recent history. But in other words, there's places you can go. Maggart's is another place, just popped in my mind. They got samples also, where you can get samples and hopefully maybe even a matching aftershave. I've got one think it's LA Shaving Company. In other words, I've never bought any of their stuff, and I got a sample of the soap and a matching aftershave through Grumatorium, and plan on doing a video on it. I hope there's enough soap because I'm really picky about. Uh, I'm kind of like, if you've ever watched David Gonzalez, and he may mention it from time to time about using plenty of soap, giving the best opportunity for it to succeed. In other words, when you're trying to create your lather. And with Sterling, you get a good chunk of soap. And like I said, ginger guard, I mean, a lot of soap. An ounce is quite a bit to be, using with a shave and experiencing it. Um, but some soap samples aren't, in other words, they're not always created equal in size. And the one soap sample I have is about, I think it's like 0.4 ounces, something like that. In other words, it's not as big as this one here. And just hope there's enough soap in there to create the lather the way that I like to create it. But at any rate, just one of those things about me, I guess. But anyway, it's up and coming. Like to see how that works out. I've never used that soap before, so it'll be an interesting shave. Hope everybody's doing well. Hide from the heat, stay safe and healthy, and smooth shaves to you.